Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the Øresund once again. We're going to go back to Copenhagen and we're going to revisit a brewery who you've seen me review a number of things from. So we're going to go back to one of the famous Danish gypsy breweries. This time we're having a taste of a beer from Mikkeller, and this is one that they brew exclusively for their ramen restaurants. They've got two of them in Copenhagen and they are called Ramen Biiru. So this place is, or this beer in particular if you like, is called the Biiru Yuzu edition. So it's a Belgian pale ale coming in at 5% ABV, and they've added some yuzu juice to it. Now I have tried this beer before. I was in one of the Ramen Biirus, the one in Nuremberg. I was there a couple of weeks back visiting a friend, or maybe about a week and a half ago, something like that, and I tried this beer on tap, thought it was absolutely lovely, and I thought, you know, I have to get a can of that and review it on the channel for you. And I bought this glass as well. I thought this was really cool. So you can see on the glass Mikkeller in katakana, and again I thought this was a really cool touch because this is very similar to the little you know, the glasses that you drink Sapporo and Kirin and Suntory and things like that when you go to an izakaya in Japan. I thought that was really cool actually, so I thought, you know, I have to get the glass, I have to get the beer and do a video for that for you guys on the channel. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one, and this is one that I'm really quite looking forward to. I really enjoyed this beer when I was eating the ramen, and incidentally the ramen that you'll get in Ramen Biiru is really good. It is properly authentic Japanese. They've got a Japanese chef there. It's not like some of the stuff that you get in some of the Thai restaurants and things like that that has more vegetables than it should. It's lovely. I really do recommend that you go and check out Ramen Biiru if you find yourself in Copenhagen, and War Pigs as well is another one that you really must do. But certainly looking forward to this beer, as you've probably guessed, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Mikkeller before. There will definitely be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Mikkeller then. So Mikkeller, as I've mentioned here, are one of the famous Danish gypsy brewers. Probably the other really well known ones are Toil and Evil Twin, although Evil Twin are operating now mostly over in America. But the company was founded back in, I think, around 2008 by two guys. So there was Christian Keller and Mikkel Bjergso. So Christian Keller actually left the company not long after they started up being a commercial brewery. He wanted to brew mainly a small kind of core range of beers, whereas Mikkel really wanted to experiment a little bit more. So Christian is now the editor, or one of the editors at the Soundhouse magazine in Copenhagen, if I'm remembering the name correctly. But Mikkel went on, of course, and has been very successful in his brewing activities. So they started off in a home brewing group, and that home brewing group gave birth to Toil. The guys who founded Toil were former students of Mikkel, because Mikkel used to be a physics and maths teacher, and it also gave birth to Evil Twin, which is run by Jeppe Bjergso, which is Mikkel's brother, of course, which is pretty cool. Both breweries, of course, producing some really quite nice beers, but apparently there is a bit of a family feud between those two, so bear that in mind. But yeah, they started off as a gypsy brewery. They were brewing most of their beers at the De Proef Brouwerij at Locriste Hefte near Ghent in Belgium, which is a really modern, kind of almost robotic facility, if you like. But Mikkeller brewed a lot of their early beers there, along with the likes of Omnipoyo and other Scandinavian gypsy breweries. But as I say, they do some really nice stuff. Their first home base as such was the original Mikkeller bar, and I think that's on Victoriasgade, if I'm remembering the street rightly, in Copenhagen. But they've expanded a hell of a lot since then. They've got bars all over the place now. There's one in Seoul, there's one in Tokyo, I believe there's one in Taipei, there's one in the Faroe Islands, there's a couple of bars in Bangkok, I think, in Thailand as well, and they're starting to open up more and more on the west coast in America. And incidentally, in 2016 they took over AleSmith's old facility in San Diego as well, and that's where they're brewing a lot of their beers. A lot of the Mikkeller cans that you'll find now are brewed at the San Diego field. They opened that up in 2010, and they also now have a brewery at the City Field in New York City as well, which is home to the New York Mets, and they're currently working on a facility in Baghaven in Copenhagen as well, which is where they're going to brew a lot of their sour beers and age them and things like this. But you know, they're a very prolific brewery. They've produced well over 1,000 different beers these days. It's very difficult to keep up with exactly what Mikkeller are doing. But one of the really, really famous breweries, of course, or one of the really famous gypsy breweries that have come out of Denmark. And they're probably the best known Danish craft brewery these days, actually, which is pretty cool. But as I say, they're a gypsy brewery at heart, and most of their beers are brewed over in America. Evil Twin, of course, doing much the same. And I think it's, you know, it's probably to do with costs and things like that they're doing that. But they've got various restaurants as well. In Copenhagen, they've got Ulen Brewed, they've got War Pigs, which I really recommend that you check out. It's basically pork and beer. What can you not like about that? They've got the Ramen Biiru restaurants as well, and like I say, I think they are looking to further expand that. They do have a fish restaurant, I think, as well, somewhere in Copenhagen too, but of course I can't eat fish, so that's somewhere that I probably will never visit, actually. But yeah, really, really cool to get a hold of this beer. That's all you really need to know about Mikkeller for the moment. They do some great stuff, so if you haven't tried some of the Mikkeller beers already, I really recommend that you do. But if you're a craft beer nerd and you haven't tried any of them, you know, I would ask where you've had your head the last couple of years. But yeah, that's all you need to know about them. Check out their Facebook and check out their website in the description below. But let's get on into the actual tasting of this beer itself. So there you can see on this one, it's one of these kind of almost samurai type masks that they've put on the front of this. I think that's really cool. There you can see in the, well, it's hiragana and katakana, this one you can see Ramen Biiru. So yeah, Biiru is in katakana, and there you can see, there's the Mikkeller symbols with the Japanese underneath it on the back. Yeah, that's somewhere I really do need to visit. When I was in Tokyo last time, the Mikkeller bar, I think, had just been shut. They had one in Seoul, but the one in Tokyo, I think, had been a temporary bar. It had just shut down, but from what I gather, it has opened up once again. But this one is actually, this particular beer is produced in Belgium. This one is a Belgian pale ale. This one will be produced at the, yeah, it says on here, brewed at the De Proefbrouwer in Lokiste Hefte in Belgium. Like I say, this one is a 5% Belgian pale ale with yuzu juice added to the beer. So, as I say, very, very nice. There you can see the little import sticker on the back of this one, but yeah, the recycle sticker. But yeah, really nicely presented, this one. So without further ado, let's get it out and into the glass. Looking forward to having a taste of this beer again. A little bit of carbonation just as I open up because it was brought back on the train over the bridge. But let's get it out and we'll get it into the glass. We'll just need to let the head of this one calm down a little bit, I think. There we are. We'll leave it like that for just now. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a really nice kind of rich orangey colour. You can definitely smell some of that nice yuzu juice coming off this one. It's got a lovely big bit of bready quality as well, you can see. But if I put my fingers behind the glass there, you can see the beer. Just checking you're seeing that with the camera, you can see the beer is actually quite transparent. I'd say it's almost like a blood orange colour, this one. A lot of little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head there. You can see the head is a kind of massive sort of three-fingered thing. The yuzu fruit coming off this one is really lovely. The yuzu's incidentally are just like a little Japanese orange, if you like, but they've got a very, very distinctive flavour. You can cook a lot of Japanese food in yuzu oil and it, you know, it comes out really beautifully actually. Some of the meats and things like that that you get over there are things, and you'd be surprised in Japan how much beef and you know, how much beef and pork and things like that that they eat. It really is very nice. But yeah, it looks like an absolutely lovely beer, this one. I do remember it being a little bit more hazy on tap actually when I had it in Ramen Biiru, but you know, it should be a lovely, lovely beer like I was saying. So yeah, looks great. In terms of the aroma then, let's have a look at that. Yeah, so with this one, straight away it's the yuzu juice that's kind of coming out of it, as you would expect. Lovely big, it's hard to describe yuzu, it's almost a little bit like peaches. It's got a little bit of an orangey quality to it, but then it's a little bit sharper on the nose, if that makes sense. It's definitely, it's one of these kind of unusual ones, if you like. It's something that has a very, very unique aroma, but like I say, it's almost a little bit peach. It's almost got a little bit of a, berryish kind of note to it as well, which is interesting. And then you've got the oranges and a bit of the kind of sharper lemons in there as well, which is really nice. It's a very kind of unique aroma, but underneath that you can really pick up the sort of bready notes to the beer. That big Belgian yeast is really coming out. You've got a bit of a kind of thicker, doughy kind of quality to the beer as well. A little bit, I'd say there's a little bit of biscuity caramel in there too. A little bit of a kind of biscuity caramel in there. And on the hoppy side of things, you've definitely got a nice little bit of a sort of grassy, floral side of things. I do wonder if they'll have used Soriachi Ace in this, because that's a really lovely kind of a citrusy hop. I did think that when I tried it before. You might see the beer getting a little bit more hazy now. That's almost all of it in the glass there. But you know, as I say, this is one of the things I really like about it as well. You get this when you go to Ramen Biiru, you get these kind of Japanese style little 330 mugs. I think that's awesome, and now you can see the beer, I guess, in its full glory as well. Looks awesome. But as I say, in terms of the hoppy side of this beer then, there's a nice almost spicy floral aromatic note to this one. There's a nice little bit of grassy hop to it as well. I'd say it's somewhere in the middle of the grassy and floral side of things, but you know, it's, in terms of aroma, it is kind of pretty much what you would expect from a Belgian pale ale. But the yuzus in this one, they smell really fresh. They do smell pretty damn sharp, I have to say. So yeah, let's just fire the last little bit of this in, and you can see, as I was saying, that this beer has got gradually more hazy as we've put the last of that in. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Ramen Biiru Yuzu edition from Mikkeller, one of the famous Danish gypsy breweries from Copenhagen in Denmark. Let's get stuck into this one then. Slange, skål, kampai. Yeah, it's one of these beers that's kind of like, it's a sort, I guess in a way it's a little bit of a nostalgia beer for me, because you know, I love Japanese food. I do miss Japan quite a lot, but you know, it's one of these beers that is really it really is just kind of nostalgic for me, so it really hits the spot. It has kind of everything you want. I always enjoyed a Belgian IPA or a Belgian pale ale. I love that big yeasty presence that these beers have, but to also have the kind of more American hoppiness and things like that on the beers, I always find that really, really nice. But yeah, let's start off with the malt base in this one then. So in the middle of your palate, you can feel there's a really nice, smooth, bready quality to the beer. It's got that nice, big, doughy Belgian yeast. You can feel the pale malt there, but then on top of that, you start to get the bigger, doughy, kind of bready qualities to the beer. There's a little bit of an almost kind of clovey spice coming out of this one as well. In the middle of the palate, I think there's a little touch of a biscuity sweetness coming out of it, which is really nice. It has everything you'd expect, really, from a Belgian pale ale. I'd say that about it. But yeah, it's got that lovely kind of sweetness to it. The malt base, it tastes kind of lovely and fresh, this one. I would say as well though, this beer obviously it's not quite as fresh as I would have had it on the tap in the bar, but it still has that kind of zingy sort of freshness that you'd like. I can see exactly, drinking it without having the ramen in front of me as well, you can really see with this beer how it would pair, or why it pairs so well with the ramen. It's got that light bready base that it has, and also the kind of fruitiness. That would help bring out a lot of the different flavours in ramen and things. I've never been such a great fan of pairing beer with food. I always like to drink the beer on its own and take it at face value, if you like. But with this beer, you really can see you can see that this beer has been designed, if you like, for drinking with Asian food. And I have had a few Mikkeller beers like that in the past, actually. But yeah, I like how this one kind of goes about its business, if you like. It really is a nice beer. It's not one of the more, how do you say, it's not one of the more kind of flamboyant beers, if you like, from Mikkeller. It's a bit more straight up than some of their other ones, but it does what it wants to do really quite well. It's definitely one of these ones that's designed for drink with Asian food. I mean, I think it was Kin, if I remember rightly, a good few years ago. I had that, and that was a lovely beer as well. I think that was a sort of lager beer. It had a little bit more hoppiness and things like that was designed to go with noodles and stuff like that. And this one again, this beer does remind me of that, actually. In terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate, there's a teeny little bit of earthiness there, but as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel there's a little bit of that almost spicy floral aromaticity coming out of the beer. Then around the very front curve of the palate, there's a little bit of a nice kind of light grassy sort of thing coming out of the beer. And behind the front curve of the palate, you really get that nice lemony sort of citrusy thing. I really do wonder if it's Soriachi Ace hops that they've used in this one, because it's got the Soriachi Ace hop has this distinctive lemony quality to it, and you can really, behind the yuzu, you can really detect that coming out. I would be surprised if it wasn't. But Soriachi Ace, most of it was grown in Japan initially, but I think they're growing some of it over in America now, and I don't know if they're growing some in Europe as well. And obviously these varieties, the flavour will change a little bit because of the different soils and stuff like that, but I really do reckon there is some Soriachi Ace in this beer. I'm not, as I say, I couldn't tell you whether it's the Japanese variety or if it's the American variety, of course. But yeah, in terms of the yuzu in the beer, the thing as I always tell you with these beers is when you add fruit to the beer, you get that nice juicy fruity quality. It sort of suppresses some of the IBUs of the beer a little bit, if that makes sense. So you can feel the yuzu, some of the juiciness from the yuzu beer taken away a little bit of the IBU. The juicy parts of the yuzu are just coming out on the edge of the tongue there, which is really, really nice. And as I say, it's a very distinctive flavour. Even it tastes a little bit different from how it smells. I mean, like I said to you, the aroma is almost a little bit more like a kind of peachy orange, a little bit of a berry kind of thing, and maybe even some sort of apricot-y notes to it, something like that. The flavour, it's got the kind of strength, if you like, and almost the sourness of grapefruit, but it's got a little bit of a kind of lemony sharpness to it, if that makes sense. And there is a little bit of an orange and tropical kind of feel to it as well. It's quite a difficult flavour to actually describe because it is so unique. Like, you know, you can straight away, if you try something that's got yuzu in it, you're just like, yuzu. But the flavour of the yuzu, I think, it's almost, as I say, it's got almost the strength of the grapefruit. It's got a little bit of that lemony sharpness to it as well, if that makes sense, and some kind of orangey presence to it. It's a really interesting fruit, but it's a lovely fruit to cook with. If you try some of these Japanese foods that are cooked in yuzu oil and things like that, it is just really, really nice. So glad that I got to try this beer. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. It's one of these beers for me that really just hits the spot. You guys, as I always say, beer is very subjective, but this is one for me that is really well designed to go with Asian food, and it's one that is a little bit nostalgic to me. So for me, this is one that I was really reviewing for myself, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it anyway. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, mid-bodied, the bottom end of mid-bodied, carbonation is very smooth, a little bit oily, I would say. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to it as well, and the malt base and the yeasty qualities, I guess in this case, since it's a Belgian IPA, they mix really well. You've got quite a smoothness to the beer, but it's also got a little bit of the sweetness you'd expect. Nice bit of juicy fruitiness from the hops. As I say, I suspect there's some Soriachi Ace in here, but you've also got that juicy quality from the yuzu as well. I would probably recommend this beer as an outside kind of hedge bet, if you like. Those of you that like grapefruit IPAs, I think would quite enjoy this one because it's similar in feel to that, if that makes sense, but obviously it has its own unique flavour because it's a different fruit. I think that's probably a good recommendation in terms of this beer. If you enjoy a good grapefruit IPA, then I think this is one that you probably would enjoy as well. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this was the Ramen Biiru Yuzu edition from Mikkeller, brewed especially for their, or brewed exclusively, I guess, for their Ramen Biiru restaurants in Copenhagen. I do hope they open up a few more of those. It would be quite cool to see them open in something like that in Stockholm, because they do have the Mikkeller bar up in Stockholm as well. But yeah, been really cool to review this one for you, and as always, I hope you've enjoyed it. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Mikkeller as well. I'm sure I'll return to these guys in the fairly near future. Make sure you check out my social media. Go and check out Ramen Biiru if you're in Copenhagen, and do go and check out Warpigs as well. And of course, there are the Mikkeller bars and the Mikkeller and Friends bars, so check all of those out. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Really cool to review this beer. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Skål!